We love you. I'm going to talk about the King J, the little 8-month-old baby that was found a few days ago, buried in a field, wrapped in a blanket and in a backpack in somebody's field. Okay, the people that are involved are the mother, she's 34, Christopher, another Christopher. I guess he's around the same age, I'm not sure. The grandmother and a cousin. And this happened in San Antonio in Texas, at the beginning of this month, 2019. It states that the baby was wrapped in a blanket and a backpack, and he was buried in a field. And later the father took the investigator to the body and later charged with child endangerment. Well, this is at first. That's what happened at first. And then we'll just go back at what had happened. It states that the father said that the baby was in the car seat and he was playing video games. And this was on the 3rd of January. That he was playing video games and the baby was in the bedroom in the car seat. And then the baby must have fell out the car seat and tumbled over. Well, you don't really put an 8-month-old baby on a bed in a car seat, because that's going to tumble over, isn't it? Because they move too much. So you wouldn't do that, because that wouldn't be safe. You'd put the baby on the floor. That'd be the safe spot. But anyway, this is what he said. The baby's in the bedroom on the bed. And the car seat fell, and he fell out, and he fell on the floor. And then he states that, well, he must have hit his head on the dresser. Yep, the baby must have hit his head on the dresser. But the thing is, they didn't take this baby to get any medical help at all. And there was a witness staying at their house that night. Maybe he was playing games with Christopher, because he states that, the father states at first he waited a few hours and then he went and looked in on him, and then he found the baby dead. But the witness that was in the home that night states that he heard the baby cry that night. So he heard the baby cry that night. He was crying. So, but it doesn't state what time this was happening. It just says on the 3rd of January. But the police did have a conference with the news. They stated they believed the father has injured the child severely. On January the 4th, the police were told that the baby was in a car that was stolen at the gas station. And that later on, the grandmother, Patrice, is suspected of disposing of the car seat. But before that happened, there's a couple more witnesses. The witnesses that on the 4th of January, between 12 and 9 o'clock in the morning, Christopher had gone to his mother's home. And there was another witness in the house at that time. And he got his mother, and he must have said, come and look at something. And they went to the car, and the mother looked inside the car. And a witness says, this is another witness, they're not giving out their names because there's 3 witnesses at different occasions, stated that the grandmother had a shock look on her face. So this is when the son Christopher must have told his mother that the baby is dead, and help me. What can I do? You know, he probably asked, what shall I do? What shall I do? The baby's dead. So I guess the grandmother helped her son out. So that goes on. And I guess they come up with a plan. But the witness also states that that they were giving each other hugs, and they were visibly upset and crying. And he thought that was pretty odd, because he never sees any of them hugging each other and kissing and crying. And he thought, that's odd. He thought that at the time. So he told the police that. And, well, as it goes on, I guess their plan was to go to this gas station. And that's when Christopher drove the car and went, and he told the police that he'd gone into the gas station, but he had left the car keys in the car. He left the baby in the car seat, and the car was stolen. And this was his story. The car was stolen. And so then it was reported to the police that day that somebody had stolen their car, and they have their baby in the car seat. But the police did find the car later on. And then they look at the surveillance video from the gas station, and they see a lady walking up, and she seems to know what she's doing. She seems to know what to do. She's walking, she's going up to the car, she's getting in it, and she's driving off. And they see that, and it looks like she knows what she's doing. Like it was a planned thing. You know, the investigators are saying, well. So, it was Christopher's cousin. He's the one that took the car. She's the one, Angie. She's the one that took the car. And the car was left near Rodriguez Park. And the cousin got rid of the car seat. So the investigators believe that Christopher's mother, Patrice, drove Torres to the food mart, according to the arrest report. The report also references surveillance video that showed the cousin trying to get rid of the car seat. My goodness. That's a well-planned kidnapping, when you do it in front of stores and you know they got surveillance cameras all over the place, because we know that. We know they have. And then they searched the home and they found evidence, but they do not state what was found, because this is very early in the investigation and they're keeping that to themselves. They have taken evidence. On Friday, this baby was found a week after, because Christopher led them to the field where the baby's body was, and they appeared in court to face charges of injury to a child. But after that, after the kidnapping, and a week after, they gave it all up. They couldn't handle it anymore because they had so much. They had surveillance, and it all led to a fake kidnapping. So we say the fake kidnapping. Well, in the meanwhile, after the police got all their evidence, they charged them all, and they're in jail waiting their day in court, and being formally charged, because while they're in jail, and the body was found, there's new charges now, because now the baby's dead. So there's a $300,000 bond on one, a $250 bond on another, and a 1-point-something million bond on another. There's 4 people involved. Like I said, the mother, the father, the cousin, the grandmother are all involved with this fake kidnapping. Now we believe that, well, it sounds like the father was playing the video games. Probably the baby was crying. You know how that is. Shut up, shut up. And gave him a few whacks in the head, to shut him up. But he's killed the baby. So now he's come up with this story that the baby fell off the bed, off the car seat, tumbled and hit his head on the dresser. He didn't get help, and now he has moved the body. Tampering with evidence means also you've moved the body and buried it somewhere. So this looks like, another Chris Watts case here. And his name is Christopher. Would you believe? What's up with these people? But anyway, while they're in jail, awaiting their day in court, and see what charges they're going to file against them all formally, the mother was in jail, and they asked her, they said to her, do you want, on the 9th of January, do you want protective custody? And she told them no. She'll just go in the population with the other prisoners, with the other inmates. Big mistake. Because they offered that to her, and she didn't take it because it's a high-profile case. This is now murder, alleged. All this stuff is alleged so far. I mean, they've told their story, so they're innocent until proven guilty. But she went into the bathroom, into the toilets, and she got jumped by 3 inmates and got beaten up. I don't know what injuries or whatever's injuries she has, because they can't release that because of the HIPAA laws. Oh yeah, the HIPAA laws, because she hasn't been convicted of anything yet. So she has that right. Oh my God. But anyway, the 3 inmates have not been charged with beating her up, but it's under investigation. And now the mother is in protective custody. Well, and then who else is in the jail? I think I'm not sure if it's the mother or the cousin, the grandmother, I mean. Well, anyway, one of them got spat on. She got spat on. She probably got called a bunch of names too. So it started, hasn't it? See, it doesn't take long for the word to get out that you're a baby killer, because they don't know if she had, what involvement she had. All they know is she knew the baby was dead and didn't call for help, and she went along with it, the fake kidnapping, and she knew where this baby was taken and thrown in the middle of a field, wrapped in a blanket inside a backpack, and buried in the middle of a field like garbage. And this is the one that said to ask somebody if he could bury his cat or an animal, but it wasn't an animal, it was his baby. Now we think, how can anybody do this to their child? Well, we don't think it was an accident. It looks like this child was beaten to death and probably suffered some kind of bleeding in the head. But the autopsy's going on, so we don't know the results of that. Seems as this little body was found a week later, they got a good chance to find out what the cause of death was, and if he's got a fractured skull or what. I mean, 8-month-old baby. What the hell? Well, anyway, these people are going to get calmer. It's coming back to them. You know, she went into the bathroom. Officers wasn't watching, were they? I thought they're supposed to be watching people in the pods, you know, wherever they are. They're supposed to be supervised. I mean, they knew she was a high-profile person in there, but once you choose to get into the population, that's at your risk. But still, they wasn't watching, were they? But you know, the inmates were watching out for each other. And you know what? She was only in there but a few days, and they got her. They got her already. And that a teacher, you know, if one of your husband or somebody killed your baby and then you cover it up, you deserve to get your ass beat, right? You deserve to. That poor little baby, you know, had to suffer, crying in pain, and then went to sleep and died. And they didn't do a thing. But that's if he went to sleep and died. He could have been beaten to death right there and then, you know. He didn't die in his sleep. So we'll see. This is another case that we're going to watch and see how this one turns out. And this one's in Texas. So there's another baby gone. All because they lose their temper. Because that's probably what happened. But that's his story. The baby fell off the bed. Do we really think this could have happened? That could have happened. Because nobody should put an 8-month-old baby on a bed in a car seat. And it's not impossible for the baby to hurt itself, but what seems a bit impossible that the baby died and you did not take the baby to the hospital to say, hey, my baby's fell off the bed, it was an accident and it's hit his head. You could have done that, right? Oh yeah, you done something stupid, put the baby on the bed, but at least you went to the hospital and said, yes, this is what happened. But they didn't. So anyway, there's 4 of them involved. Probably 2 of them is covering up the kidnapping, and 2 of them will be charged, or at least 1 will be charged with the murder. And the rest will, whatever charges they're going to file on them. So that is the case of King J, the little 8-month-old baby that apparently has been murdered, a fake kidnapping, wrapped in a blanket, stuffed into a backpack, and they dug a hole and shoved him in the middle of a field. That's how you treat your son. Yeah, well, karma's coming. At least they got the parents, at least they got the people that were responsible for this baby's life. At least the police have them in jail where they belong. Okay, guys, I'll keep you updated on this one. Let's have a little discussion on this case and your thoughts. Poor little thing. See you next time.